STEM profession. Gain practical experience with emerging technology and equipment not found in the civilian world. The Army National Guard can get you started in an array of STEM-related career fields such as information technology, communication systems, special forces engineers, technical engineering, air traffic control, and chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear science. Get a head start on your career in an exciting new field while earning money to pay for college, all while serving in your own community. Log on to NationalGuard.com or talk to a recruiter in your area to learn about all of the STEM career opportunities available to you in the Army National Guard. Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
Want to help pull the plug on cyber terrorists? Or get the skills to work with satellites and other space technology? How about learning the avionics inside stealth fighters? And do you want to reach your goals fast? You can do it and take your life to the next level in the Air National Guard. Because you serve part-time, you do it in a way that works for you. You can achieve your career and educational goals with plenty of time for family and friends. The Air Guard offers nearly 200 career specialties, so you'll get the high-tech skills you need to kick your career into high gear. You can also be eligible for college tuition assistance. The best part is, in the Air Guard, you'll be making a real difference by serving your community and country. So get your future off the ground in the Air National Guard. Call the Alabama Air National Guard at 1-800-TOGOANG or visit goang.com/AL.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM, Auburn's premier home for student-run radio for over 50 years now. I'm your host, Jack Hart, alongside my colorman, Davis Carroll, and joined by nobody else, as it seems that Alex has slept in. So we'd like to welcome our listeners and viewers from across the Auburn Opelika Megaplex and around the world, however you may be listening today, whether you are watching our video live stream on YouTube, listening in on your terrestrial radio in your car or home at WEGL 91.1 FM, or if you are tuning in to the web live stream, WeGLFM.com, we welcome you into the show. Also, if you're not watching live, you may just be listening to our podcast, which airs commercial-free every afternoon. It gets posted, and you can check that out wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify, Apple. You can just go straight to our RSS feed on Transistor, however you want to listen to that one, audio only. Or you can head over to the WEGL FM YouTube page and watch the video version. You can pause, fast forward, rewind, whatever you please with that one. But however you are joining us today, we send a most sincere appreciation to you for doing so. We are happy to have you here with us for Auburn's only student-run drive time morning show. And now, as always, as we are broadcasting live from the Bradley Basden WEGL studios in the bowels of the Harold Melton Student Center on the campus of Auburn University, where it is a steamy 71 outside this fine Thursday morning. It is the week's finale of Compact Discourse. We wish you a most sincere buenos dias, or a good old American good morning, as we get on with the show. Davis, how are you feeling about this Thursday morning today?
I'm feeling pretty good, a little tired, and I also have a speech in my 9:30 class to give. Pretty easy one, though, so not too worried about it. Other than that, pretty good.
What kind of speech?
Just an ungraded speech to just tell the people about ourselves, just so that public speaking teacher can kind of give us tips on our speaking ability.
So like dangling participles and run-on sentences?
I guess, or just if we look at the crowd, or if we like fidget a lot.
If you split any infinitives?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, at this point, I would like to remind our audience that if at any point in the next 2 hours you feel so inclined to ask us a question, drop a hot take, or in the highly unlikely event that we get something wrong, you can go ahead and correct us by calling in at 334-844-9345. That's 334-844-WEGL. You You can also shoot us a tweet at CDiscAU, at CDISCAU, and our dedicated team of call screeners will handle your inquiry. And the trivia question for the week is still pending, so if anyone would like to take another stab at the trivia question from Monday, we would love to hear your responses. That trivia question, once again, of course, is themed around the fact that your Auburn Tigers are taking on the Akron Zips this Saturday evening in Jordan-Hare Stadium. Akron's mascot is, of course, a kangaroo, which is one of the most iconic Australian animals there is, which is why it appears on the Australian coat of arms. However, there are also 4 other animals that appear on the Australian coat of arms, including 3 birds, one of them flightless. So if you have any inclinations as to what any of the other 4 animals that appear on the Australian coat of arms are, go ahead and tweet us at CDiscAU with your responses. And if you get it right, or wrong at this point, you will get a shout out on the air. So we encourage you to do that as well. All right, well, let's jump right into the show with your morning weather report, where right now in Auburn, Alabama, it is 71 degrees, partly cloudy, with a 2% chance of rain. It's going to get up to 87 today. That's your high. Low of 68. So once again, an unseasonably cool day for this early autumn morning. And moving into the afternoon, it will get up back to those August-September dog days highs, as it will get up to 86 this afternoon and partly cloudy, but a 0% chance of rain. So plans won't get canceled, and you can go out and enjoy the day. This evening, it will cool way back down to 74. So once again, excellent sitting on your porch weather tonight as the clouds roll in. And we have a 3% chance of rain with a 5% chance of rain overnight with a temperature of 69 degrees. Looks like Hurricane Larry is still swiftly making its way across the Atlantic Ocean. Not sure when that's destined to make landfall, but currently soaring just west of Cape Verde off the coast of Africa. So Hurricane Larry, we've got our eyes on you as you currently sit at a Category 1 heading towards the east coast of the United States. And then Hurricane Ida seems to be done and over with here in the southeast, but Tropical Storm Ida, as yesterday it was kind of in the West Virginia area, has moved on to the eastern seaboard, and massive rainstorms in both Philadelphia and New York have caused massive amounts of flooding, including, I believe, parts of the subway in New York are flooded due to the severe amount of rain as a repercussion of the weird path Tropical Storm Ida took across the eastern side of the country. So that's your weather wrap up. So let's move on to some more exciting things than the weather. And that would include, I know yesterday we had on the show, we had Will Root and JP on to talk about music, but I know there's a really interesting piece of music news that we haven't talked about at all on the show, and that is Kanye West's new album, Donda, has finally dropped after much pomp and circumstance over these past, 3 or 4 months now, Davis?
I think he originally said it was going to come out in June, and then it kept getting pushed back, if I remember correctly. And then he kept having listening parties, and he also was living in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium for a little bit, which was interesting while he was making his album. So he had 3 listening parties, and then I think it was last week, or no, it was this week. Whenever it was, I can't really remember. It was just dropped in the middle of the night. Nobody really expected it. And that was against Kanye's wishes by Universal Records, or like Universal Studios or whatever. They just dropped it without his permission, and I think they might have changed it a little bit because he had been apparently removing people off certain songs. And when it was first dropped, one of the songs, Jail Part 2, was completely unavailable to listen to because Universal did not want DaBaby, who had faced some recent controversy over things he said at Rolling Loud. He was on the song and just completely blacked out. You couldn't even click on to listen to it for most of the day. But later on in the day, you could listen to it. You can listen to it now. DaBaby's on it. Apparently, they were trying to get him removed, but he's still on it. It doesn't really matter. Overall, I think the album's pretty good. A little long. It's pushing 2 hours long. It's 1 hour and 42 minutes, something like that. It's longer than Boss Baby, apparently, is what I've heard.
Interesting. So maybe they sync up, like Dark Side of the Moon and Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Do those sync up? I know Wizard of Oz does.
So, I mean, that's pretty out of character for Kanye. Aren't his albums usually pretty short?
Sometimes.
I mean,
his earlier ones were, like album length. Life of Pablo was short.
but
Yay.
Ye's pretty short, isn't it?
Yeah, he just kind of does whatever. There's really no.
It's hard to track down a
Yeah, you
pattern.
can't really be like, oh yeah, Kanye does this, because sometimes he'll release his album on time. Sometimes you have to wait 2 years to get it. Like one of his albums was 500 days late, which is pretty Kanye. But yeah, I'm not the biggest Kanye fan. I didn't grow up listening to him like a lot of people, so I don't really have a big connection to him, but I do enjoy his music when I listen to it. He's really good at making music. Say what you will about the man himself. He has issues, but he makes good music. I'll say that. Check out the album.
Any recommendations? What's your favorite song on the album?
Probably Off the Grid, because I really like Playboy Cardi.
Okay.
But also Moon is probably, I guess, the most beautiful song you'd say. Like the one you just kind of put your earphones in and close your eyes. Has Kid Cudi on it as well. I know you like Kid Cudi in a few songs. I'm not sure how you are of the rest of his music. Pure Souls was really good because I'm a big Roddy Ricch fan. Roddy Ricch sounds really good on that. I mean, like the first half of the album, all of them are great. Some of the ones on the second half are some of them are hit or miss, but I'd say the whole album pretty much, most of the songs are good. Chris says Hurricane is the best, which I was going to say. That one also has Lil Baby and The Weeknd on it. That one sounds great. But yeah, I mean, like, you could literally just choose any song from the majority of the album, and I'd be like, yeah, it's a good choice. But the issue is, I mean, that's just kind of Kanye. He doesn't put, like, who is featuring. So sometimes I'll forget, like, oh, this is the song I like with whoever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll have to, like, click through them really quick to find it. But yeah, it's a good album. And Jay-Z's on Jail, the first one, part 1.
A lot of features, as is
yes.
characteristic of a Kanye album.
A lot of features you wouldn't expect from him, like Playboy, Roddy Ricch, Lil Baby, Da Baby. He usually wouldn't do that.
Interesting. So do you have any inclinations, knee-jerk reactions as to what the legacy of this album is going to be, how it's going to go down in the Kanye lexicon in the history books?
I think he might tinker with it a little bit like he did with Life of Pablo, which I could see him doing a little bit, maybe fix up any issues he has with it, because Kanye is a perfectionist since it did get released before he wanted to, so I feel like he'll do that. And hopefully he'll fix the album cover. It is just black. That is just the color black. I'm not a big fan of that.
I mean, he needs to go out and take another picture like he did for Ye.
I mean, he's had like 3 different album covers for the album. Like
it's just because
mentioned.
Universal dropped it without his permission.
I'm not, yeah, it could be that, or maybe he was going for like you kind of form your own album cover like Childish Gambino did with his 3/15/20 album last year, was just a white cover.
Interesting.
Which it gets a little pretentious at some point because the whole album for Childish Gambino was just numbers for like the minute. So it was your own experience. It was an okay album. I didn't really love it or hate it. But I think people looking at it now are going to be like, oh, this sucked. It was so mediocre. But in 5 years, going to be like, this is a pretty good album. Because that's what that's what they did with Ye. I mean, I feel like most people liked Ye when it came out. You liked Ye when it came out.
I like Ye.
Good album. Yeah, I think people are going to, I think it's kind of split down the middle, but most people are going to start to come to like it, even if it is a little long.
Well, that's good to hear. Another piece of news that was trending yesterday is that internet celebrity personality, I mean, he defies a role at this point. He does so many things. Comedian, UFC commentator, and podcast host Joe Rogan has contracted the coronavirus, but apparently he's recovering quite well.
I mean, he's a pretty healthy guy, pretty big. It seems like he takes care of himself, so good for him. Keeping him in our thoughts, just in case anything goes bad for him. Get Joe Rogan on the show sometime, maybe.
Maybe one of these days. I hope to one day get a cool neon sign with Compact Discourse on it to sit behind us. All right, so let's move on to a little bit of campus news, including Auburn UPC, who we partnered with last night to bring you an open mic night right here in the Student Center.
That go well?
It went fabulous. It was actually a lot of fun. I did a little emceeing for the event, and we had a lot of fun talking with the performers. Everybody had a great time, and it was such a chill atmosphere. It was in that circular room right next to the Starbucks, you know, that little room. Yeah, it was really cool. Dylan had the awesome neon lights set up, and once the sun set and the The lights were bright inside and then dark on the outside. It was a super cool stage to set up on. So that was super fun to be a part of that last night. So thanks to Auburn UPC, thanks to the Circle, and thanks to our engineering department over here at WEGL for putting all of that together. If you want to know about more events like that when they come up, you can follow at Auburn UPC on Instagram and at Auburn Circle on Instagram as well. I believe that was announced on both of those accounts. And of course, that was an open mic night. So if you are in the music business, or if you just want to go out and go for the first time, I know we had a performer named Isaiah last night who did his first ever performance in front of people last night. It was pretty cool. He played a John Mayer song, which I cannot be mad at. So that was awesome. And if you like live music, we got the hookup once again because WEGL is presenting Auburn Stages tonight. That is a live concert series put on by Dylan, who is our fabulous live events coordinator. That's going to be 5 p.m. tonight on the Cater Lawn. You can go to at WEGL_AU, check out our Instagram for all the information there, or you can just stick around and listen to the rest of the show because we got Dylan coming on the show in the second hour to discuss all things Auburn Stages and get you hyped up for this performance tonight by Sage. So we are excited to bring you that. We got a lot of great stuff coming up on the show, and I think I just saw Bay Marks poke his head in the window, so get excited for that because the much anticipated return of everyone's favorite segment, Uniform Factor, is coming up later on the show. I'm Jack Hart, joined alongside Davis Carroll. We're bringing you Compact Discourse live on WEGL 91.1 FM. We'll be right back after these messages.
Smith. You may know me from my work as Scuba, one of the hosts of the hit award-winning show Nerdcore on WEGL 91.1 FM. But what you may not know about me is that I'm a website enthusiast. That's why I'm here to tell you about WeagleFM.com. It's our hotspot on the web with live broadcast articles and more. It's like a gift that keeps on giving. Tune into your favorite shows at any time with a 24/7 online stream right on the homepage. And don't forget to check out the schedule for our station's full selection of music, sports, and talk shows. For the sports fans, there's articles aplenty covering all of the current events in football, basketball, and beyond. For those music fans, WEGL FM has got you covered. We have album and concert reviews and theme playlists for any mood. We even have live musical performances with WEGL Sessions. There's more than enough content here to keep you procrastinated when you really should be studying for that test. That's right, we know you've been slacking off. Get back to it, lazy. So, no matter what sound you're looking for, we've got it only on WeagleFM.com. That's WEGLFM.com and WEGL 91.1 FM, Auburn.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You could kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Good morning and welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. I'm your host, Jack Hart, joined alongside Davis Carroll, and joining us in the booth for his inaugural appearance on Compact Discourse, it is the one and only Mr. Bay Marks of the Scoreboard, coming in hot, joining us on this fine Thursday morning on the second day of September in 2021. Bay Marks, it is so good to see you again. How are you doing this fine Thursday morning?
Good morning, Jack. I'm good. Appreciate y'all having me on. Davis, of course. Good to see you as well. It's been a while since I've been on the mic with either of y'all. I think the last time, definitely probably one of the remote broadcasts for Jared Dillard's show, The Extra Point, back during quarantine, because I don't think I was able to do any of it last year due to my schedule. But yeah, feels great to be back with you fellas on the mics.
It is good to have you as well. Now, I want to posit this trivia question over to you because we did have a response sent in over the break on Twitter. That's at CDiscAU if you want to take a stab at it as well. The trivia question, of course, is themed around the fact that your Auburn Tigers are taking on the Akron Zips this Saturday evening in Jordan-Hare Stadium under the lights. And Akron's mascot is, of course, a kangaroo, which is a very iconic animal in the Australian world. Now, as a result of this, the Australian coat of arms does feature the kangaroo sitting on one side of it, but there's also another animal on the other side of it and 3 more animals on the coat of arms itself. And so the trivia question is to name any other of the other 4 animals that are on the Australian coat of arms. We did have a response to that come in over the break. Ashley Winfrey, once again, weighing in on the trivia question. Thank you, Ashley. She responded with a kookaburra, a kiwi, or a bald eagle. And unfortunately, that is not correct because a kookaburra can fly, kiwis live in New Zealand, and a bald eagle, of course, while we love them here in Auburn, are not native to Australia. So a few more hints regarding what is on the Australian coat of arms. Of course, there are 4 animals that aren't a kangaroo. 3 of them are birds. 1 is a flightless bird. This flightless bird kind of looks like an ostrich, and it is one of the national symbols of Australia. And the other 2 birds, there might have been a famous Russian ballet about one of them. So,
Man, it's tough because you said they're all like indigenous to Australia, right?
I mean, you know,
So
you can bring. One of them isn't. One of them is a 4-legged animal that a Disney film was produced about. That kind of
You're just giving the answers.
Well,
well, he's got to help somebody like me out. I'm not as intelligent as our
no one's
our
answered
listeners.
it. I mean, there's a Disney film about it, and it's a lot like Hamlet. So if you know your Shakespearean plays, and you know your 4-legged, your beasts, your kings of certain biomes, if you will, that might just find you on the Australian coat of arms. So, Bay,
Figured it out over there yet, Bay?
while you ponder that, I will posit. I know you're not in the music sphere of WEGL, but just we've been having a lot of music chat lately. We had JP and Will Root on the show yesterday, which I'd love to have them back every Wednesday for a WEGL Wednesday discussion. I'd love to have them back next week to talk music, and Javis and I talked about Kanye in the first hour. So, what have you been listening to lately, Bay?
Well, here's the deal with me. You may look at me and think I don't have such great taste in music, which you might be right. Compared to all the great DJs here at WEGL, I probably don't have the most diverse taste in music. Of course, with me, lately you're going to get a lot of country music, you know. Lately, here, I'm looking at my Spotify playlist right now. Recently, Riley Green came out with one of his more recent albums, only had about 6 or 7 songs on it, which I don't know if that classifies as an EP or not. I'm not sure how that works.
It just really depends on what the artist says, honestly.
Okay. I think it's an album.
From
yeah.
I understand.
I've been listening to him a little bit with If It Wasn't for Trucks. I always love some Luke Combs or Morgan Wallen, but here's the real kicker of what I've been listening to lately. I was on TikTok. I know you're on TikTok, Jack. Are you on TikTok?
That's a dependent clause with which a lot of sad stories usually start.
Well, here's the thing. This isn't a sad TikTok song. Well, this guy made this TikTok, and he was like, listen to the lyrics of this song and realize like how sad and strong it is. And it's by the Lumineers.
Okay.
It's Ho Hey, which obviously a lot of people, probably don't know that off the bat, but if you listen to it, you're probably like, oh, I've heard this song before.
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to that and Sleep on the Floor by them. And it's kind of been eye-opening because I didn't really realize how good of music that the Lumineers really made. I don't know what their most recent music is, but I definitely need to dive deeper into what they've made more recently. But those are probably the most like great songs I've been listening to lately. Just on my ride home, I've been trying to sing those at the top of my lungs. But other than that, man, just a lot of my country with Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, different guys and whatnot. But
yeah, keep on keeping on. Stick with what you know.
Yeah, just stick with what I know. It's my happy music. See, I don't have to, a lot of people are different with their music. Some people like to learn a new song every day. Some people like to hear a new band every day. Sometimes you just want your comfort music.
That's right. I mean, I live on my on repeat playlist on Spotify.
Yeah.
I don't touch the daily mixes. I don't touch the rewinds. You know what? Spotify. I know what I want to hear.
Right.
And just give it to me. Give me that.
See, and I don't know if y'all have had this experience. Like, do you have Spotify?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if y'all have had this experience. And this isn't a shot at Spotify, but sometimes they'll give me that recommended playlist,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll get 3 or 4 songs deep into it, and I'm just like, this doesn't really fit my mold. Like, I don't really enjoy any of this.
The algorithm, if you listen to like 1 or 2 songs from a certain genre, like close together, then you'll have like a daily. I remember like last year when I was driving, not last year, a few months ago, like before somewhere I was driving home, I listened to a few movie soundtrack stuff, and now every once in a while I'll still get a daily mix for movie soundtracks. And I'm like, I don't even listen to that much. Maybe he knows I'm friends with Alex because that's all he listens to.
God bless you.
They know you have a podcast.
They must. They're trying to get me to say movie soundtracks during it.
Now, I will give them this. I do love in December every year, I look forward to the yearly recaps when it gives you like your statistics and who you most listen to. Of course, my most listened to podcast, The Scoreboard.
You listen to your own podcast?
Dude, got to perfect my
You
craft.
gotta sound check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Hey, do football players watch game tape?
That's not the same thing.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if it is.
Maybe one day you'll host a podcast and you'll understand.
Oh, now you just went from that's for your podcast to now I don't own a podcast.
This year, my second most listened to podcast should be Compact Discourse.
That's what we like to hear.
What about your
91.1 FM.
third most?
That's classified.
What?
All right, Bay. Have you ever played Minecraft before?
Okay, can I tell a really quick story about this? Because I know where it's going.
Oh, go ahead.
So I knew what Minecraft was in high school, and I'm sure it was out in middle school. And my friend Josh Doherty from high school, I went to his house one night for a spend the night party, and this was like maybe freshman or sophomore year. Everybody goes to bed at like 1 or 2 a.m. I kid you not. I stay up the entire night because I found out how fun Minecraft was. So I went home on my Xbox 360, downloaded Minecraft for like $20, and I played for like 4 days straight, and I may have slept like a total of 10 hours. But yes, I do know what it is because of that experience. I haven't really played it much since then, but yes, I'm a little familiar with it.
Fair enough. I've also kind of, I think, hung up my pickaxe, as it were, and retired. But the reason I bring it up is because, of course, yesterday we had a fabulous interview with Chris Smith, who is taking on inherited and is taking on the challenge of continuing the project to completely recreate the entire city and University of Auburn in the world of Minecraft using entirely just blocks. So pretty cool project we have going on there. If you want to hear that interview, you can go to our podcast from yesterday. It's called Block Party featuring Auburn Minecraft Project. Check that out wherever you get your podcasts. Or if you go to the WEGL YouTube page, I snipped out the 30-minute interview, and you can watch that with some pretty cool visuals. I took some pictures from his Twitter handle, which is at MCAubie, and I added them to the show. So go ahead and check that out if you are a Minecraft fan or just an Auburn fan interested in what the heck is going on in this computer game.
I saw that interview because I saw where I was unable to listen to the show yesterday due to class, but Jack had put the link out on Twitter, and I listened to a good bit of it. And just looking at what he's made and kind of the popularity on social media, he's grown somewhat overnight. I mean, I think he gained, I don't know if he mentioned it on the show
like
yesterday.
800 or something.
Yeah, he
right?
gained like a crazy amount of followers within like a few days span. I mean,
How much of a hand do you think Compact Discourse had in that?
We'll see. I think come the weekend, he'll be thanking us.
we're gonna ask the data team in the back to take a look at that for us.
And they're gonna have to build WEGL after that.
Yeah, so thank you once again to Chris for coming on the show. And I did talk to him on Twitter a little bit. He says if he ever ends up getting to the interior of the student center and wants to build the WEGL suite, I know we'd all be happy to hop on the server and help him out with that.
See, and well, I guess he can go inside the student center obviously and build inside of it. See, like, and that's the thing is like on Twitter, he also points stuff out that a lot of other people don't notice. Like our own Caleb Jones from WEGL, he pointed out on Twitter that from the sky, Haley Center is in the shape of a capital H, and then the student center right next door is in the shape of a lowercase h. Fun fact.
I'm gonna have to do some research on that.
You wouldn't have known that if you hadn't seen
I
it
really
from
wouldn't have,
above
yeah.
in Minecraft. All right, so how about that? So we are ready to, I mean, once again, we had an open mic night last night partnering with UPC and The Circle. It was a lot of fun, and there's more events coming up. You just need to go to Auburn UPC on Instagram. I think they're having a movie night tonight upstairs in the Student Center with free popcorn and drinks. So I think that's 7:30 tonight. If you want to head over to the ballroom tonight, absolutely free for students. So just check in with your mobile event pass, and you can watch Mortal Kombat tonight in the Student Center ballroom.
See, they did like the movie in the stadium last semester,
Mhm.
and I know it was last fall too because they did Endgame in the spring, and then the last fall they did Harry Potter. It was very cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we are happy to partner with UPC to bring you some fantastic events throughout the year. Well, we are going to head to a quick break, and when we come back, the much-anticipated return of Uniform Factor as I hand the laurels over to Bay Marks. And you know what? College football starts for real this Saturday. I know UAB played last night. I know Hawaii played last Saturday, but the real games start this weekend, and plenty of teams are wearing new uniforms, so you know we have to talk about that. We'll be right back to Compact Discourse in a few minutes.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What? No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm gonna do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up.
See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time. What?
No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I opened a 401k.
So you're giving up? Just like that?
Giving up on what?
On getting an inheritance from a distant relative.
Don't you think if there were a billionaire in the family, we'd know about it by now?
Listen to me, we are one phone call away from riding horses on our own private polo grounds. One call from christening yachts, having a butler, using summer as a verb.
How do you figure?
Look, everyone's got a rich uncle somewhere. It's statistics. So the best thing you can do is just prepare for the inevitable.
Right, which is why I thought maybe it would be smart to take control of my finances. You know, start using a budget, get out of debt, set some retirement goals.
Budgets? Debt? You watch your mouth. Retirement shouldn't be a goal for us. It should be a way of life.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Good morning, Auburn, and welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM, WEGLFM.com, or watching live on our YouTube screen, or after the fact on Eagle Eye TV, or the video on demand. You might be listening to our podcast as well, wherever you get your podcasts. My podcast player of choice is Spotify. So just search for Compact Discourse, look for that orange and blue CD logo, and enjoy the entire backlog of shows commercial free. All right, we are jumping right back into things here. It is 8:32 in the morning, which means it is time for your Auburn, Alabama weather report. I am your host, of course, Jack Hart, joined alongside Davis Carroll and Bay Marks, special guest on the show today. We also have Dylan Basden coming up later in the show to give you a preview of Auburn Stages, which is going on tonight at 5 p.m. on the Cater lawn. So if you're on campus and looking for some live music, be sure to check out Auburn Stages tonight, 5 p.m. on the Cater lawn. All right, right now in Auburn, Alabama, it is 73 degrees, and the clouds have parted, and it is sunny once again. Your high is 87, your low is 68 today. So once again, unseasonably cool for this early autumn morning. It is 78 degrees. this morning. It will get up to 86 this afternoon. 0% chance of rain, though, so a welcome relief after Tropical Storm Ida slung some rain our way. And then tonight it'll get down to 74 with a 69-degree temperature overnight. So go ahead and enjoy WEGL's lineup of shows tonight as you sit out on your porch and enjoy the stars. So let's talk a little bit of sports while we have you here, Bay Marks. I know you are excited for your show today. The scoreboard is getting turned on today at 2.
That's right. Yeah, 2 o'clock. Actually, we talked about it on the show last week. It's normally 4 to 5, but due to my co-host's selfishness, we have moved to 2 o'clock. So thank you, Jacob.
Whoa,
Wow.
calling them out.
Calling him out. I've been with Jacob long enough. It's
Just-
like we're almost like a married couple. I can
Yeah.
just call him out, and it doesn't matter.
It's like me and Alex.
No, y'all fight like a married couple. That's different.
There should be a combined episode to see how that goes.
Oh man, that episode would last hours.
That's my formal
Invitation.
yeah.
Yeah. No, but our show.
Well, we don't have a sports show anymore, so
Yeah,
never mind.
that's
Forget
okay.
that.
You can make a comeback. But our
through
show
through the lens, through the scoreboard.
through the scoreboard. But the scoreboard does come on today, from like Jack said, from 2 to 3. If you want to tune into that, we will be previewing Auburn's game versus Akron. Other big college football games this weekend, like Clemson and Georgia, the NFL, you name it, we'll probably talk about it.
All right, and speaking of the MLB, I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of it until the second hour, but the big headline from last night is that with a sweep of the Braves and a Giants loss, the Los Angeles Dodgers are now in sole possession of the NL West, and I believe the 1 seed in the National League. Immediate reactions to that one, Bay?
I mean, that's just a star-studded team. Honestly, I think the bigger headline in that division was honestly the Giants, how they've performed this season, especially acquiring Chris Bryant and the likes through the trade deadline. But man, I think that's going to set up a very interesting postseason, not only for the National League, but I also think the American League with Tampa Bay, Boston, New York, other teams here down the stretch. I think we're in for a very memorable playoff stretch right now.
Yeah, especially for the first time in 2 years we've had a normal playoffs.
Right.
It's gonna be awesome.
Right.
And yeah, I think something I've been mentioning on the show all week is that we're shaping up to have some really interesting postseason matchups.
Yeah.
Maybe a Yankees Sox, maybe a Dodgers Giants.
Yeah.
That'd be a pretty interesting combination if those teams get to go 7 with one another.
Yeah, seeing Boston fighting off Oakland right now for a wild card spot, and we unfortunately have been getting our brains beat in by Tampa Bay. I think we lost the series 2-1. So they're just red hot. The Yankees obviously went on that 13-game winning streak, so they're obviously ahead of us in the standings. So Alex Cora and the recently returned Chris Sale, them and the Red Sox got to figure it out here soon.
Alrighty, and with that, we are going to move on to everyone's favorite segment here on the Extra Point / Compact Discourse. It's Uniform Factor. Get ready.
Now, form factor is a term I learned in my occupational safety and ergonomics class.
Does powder blue ever look bad? Ever?
Absolutely not.
I can't name one team.
That's the worst helmet I've ever seen.
I mean, part of the fun of throwbacks is that we're all in on the joke that they look terrible.
Bird is awful, but the jerseys themselves are sick.
Dude, this is clean, man.
Hey, when they rocking these? Any thoughts on this Browns-Broncos matchup, Carter?
The game itself?
The uniforms.
We're live with Uniform Factor.
I loved that.
You guys like that?
That was awesome.
That is fun.
I'd never heard that before.
I forgot how funny that was. I did a
hilarious.
great job on that. All right, so let's hop right into things. You can peer around those monitors and take a look at the first jersey we're looking at, or you can, if you are listening to the show, you can head on over to WEGL's YouTube page to see what we're looking at. But I'll do my best job to describe them to you. The first team we are taking a look at is the University of Missouri out of the SEC. They have switched their full-time uniform to something a little more traditional. Missouri is outfitted, of course, by Nike, and they have gone for a very classic look for the 2021 season. I know in the past they've dabbled around with a little graphite, a little weird hooked fonts, some italicization, and some tiger stripes, but it seems like Nike and Mizzou have gotten back to the basics on this one. They've unveiled 2 jerseys so far, and they are pretty cool. So the first one being their road jersey, Features a black helmet with the classic oval tiger logo on either side, a pretty standard white jersey, black numbers, yellow piping, and down the pants you have a yellow and black stripe as well. So very similar to Auburn's jerseys with the power stripe on the shoulders and helmet crest, but pretty clean look overall. Black jersey looks to be the home jersey, will be the same situation, same helmet, black jerseys, yellow numbers, white piping, and yellow pants. So pretty cool look out of Columbia, Missouri. What are your immediate reactions to these, Bay?
Like you said earlier, I think both jerseys overall a very clean look. A lot of teams, when they try to go back to more of a traditional style look or they change in general, they try to do too much when they can do more with less. And I think that's what Missouri understood with this assignment was we can do more with less. Overall, I think it was a success. Immediate reactions, if we're going to go ahead and talk about the white ones, I think they look great. I do like how you mentioned, Jack, how they have the striping on the side, the Northwestern stripes, I believe they're called, on the helmet and on the sleeves. These colors go great with that sort of concept, and I really appreciate that traditional look that they're going for. Something with both of the uniforms, though, and I don't know if either of you noticed this, and I don't know if this is just going to be in Missouri, is the SEC patch, like, very large?
It's big, especially contrasted with the Missouri logo, which I believe is on the collar, and the Nike logo are very small.
Yeah, and that was the point I was going to make was, like, the SEC logo, like, that's huge, which is fine. But like Jack said, that kind of contrasts towards that Missouri Tiger logo, which I believe they used to have Mizzou written across the chest. So I don't mind them taking Mizzou off. I think that still would have been a cool look, but the Tiger Head logo makes up for it. But again, if you're going to have that ginormous SEC logo right there, make sure that Nike logo, which I guess it's fine, but also that Tiger Head, make sure it is closer in size as well.
What do you think, Davis?
I think they're pretty good. I don't really have any complaints. I'm not as big of a uniform fanatic as you two, so I mean, like, I have my fanaticism for other things that involve design, that being movie posters and album covers.
There you go.
But, like, if I like the colors of a uniform and I think it looks cool, even if it really isn't cool, I'll just be like, that's pretty cool. I'm not going to be like, the size of the Nike logo is not up to snuff for my liking.
The only thing I will say before we stop talking about this uniform is, and this is similar to Auburn's uniforms, is I wish that the striping on the pants matched the other stripes.
Yeah, they just can't seem to get that right, can they? Something I notice about these, do you think, all right, these are kind of like a simple classic look. And Nike seems to have been transitioning away from, the gradients and patterns from the late 2010s to this new clean kind of throwback look. Do you think it runs the risk of uniforms starting to be a little bit too samey? Because these kind of look like the Georgia throwbacks. They kind of look like what South Carolina wears. Obviously, they look like what Auburn wears already. Do you think these brands are distinct enough to where it doesn't really matter? Kind of like how back in the day, college basketball uniforms were all pretty much the same thing, just in different colors, same fonts even. I think that would be the case if Mizzou was going with traditional block numbering, but as you can see on these, the numbering is pretty much that iconic Mizzou fast-looking italicized font.
Yeah, and that was something that I had also noticed was some of the numbers, like I'm looking at it right here on uniswag.com, like the number 8 and the number 3, they look very blocked off and traditional. But then there's a picture of one of their players wearing the number 18. The 8, again, looks very traditional, but then like you just said, the 1 looks very modernized. So I think that's a message that needs to be coincided with it's either going to be a traditional look or they're going to continue going with the progressive look that Missouri's been a test particle of the last several years. But like you were trying to ask earlier, I think that is some very thin ice to walk on. Because I think if, like you said, if a lot of teams and a lot of branding companies do this, they could be going towards the same.
Even in the past 2 years, we've seen both A&M and Arkansas basically strip down their uniform to the brass tacks, and they look very similar now if it weren't for the different shades of red.
Right.
So we'll see what the future of uniform hold as we continue to move through this one. Something I am pretty excited about for this Missouri one is maybe seeing a pair of black pants get added to that look for an all-black look at home, or I can even see, the black helmet with the yellow pants on the road could be a pretty great look. You know, I'm a sucker for the trifecta, the triple stack.
Yeah, I was about to say, and there's not a lot of teams that can pull it off, but Missouri is a school with the colors that can have 3 different uniforms.
Mm-hmm. Sure thing. All right, so let's move on to our next look before we hit a break, and that is going to be Arizona State, the Sun Devils. I know, Davis, you had mentioned that you are a big fan of the Sparky logo.
He looks so cool. He's so fun looking.
He is featured on the helmet of this one. Arizona State is going to wear these September 25th versus Colorado in that Pac-12 matchup. These are being billed as a reverse retro. Now, if you don't know what that is, Adidas, or Adidas, as I like to call them, rolled out this program called Reverse Retro in the NHL, where all 31 teams in the NHL got a throwback jersey with the colors basically inverted. So the Nashville Predators, for example, just off the top of my head, it's the one I remember the best. Their old inaugural jersey was a navy blue jersey with yellow and silver piping. And so the reverse retro jersey is going to be a gold jersey with blue and silver piping. So it's basically taking an old look and putting a modern spin on it by inverting the colors. And what Adidas has done here is taken Arizona State's kind of 80s and 90s look and with maroon with gold piping, and they have made the jerseys gold, very striking desert sun yellow with maroon and actually kind of old gold metallic look. Some interesting things to note here is the Arizona flag pattern on not only the shoulder but also the gloves, which look really cool, and the gold piping on the college block numbering. So what do you guys think about these Arizona State kits to be worn on September 25th versus Colorado?
My first comment was going to be what you just mentioned, the fact that, well, overall, I'll start with this. They knocked this one out of the park. I mean, these are great uniforms. The only complaint I would have is what you just mentioned, Jack, where they have the gold piping around the number. I wish they just would have put it around the name, too, because you can see that gold also on the shoulder caps within that Arizona, I believe that's the state flag, if I'm not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
There's gold piping in that. I think if they just would have put a very thin line just around the numbers, around the words Arizona State across the chest, I think overall that is the only nitpicky thing I would have changed about this. But overall, especially with the Sun Devil on the helmet, I mean, these things are phenomenal.
It's a lot harder for me to critique a uniform you're just going to wear for one game.
Yeah, and that's true. If this was going to be something that they wore permanently, that's a change I'd like to make. But like you just mentioned, if it's a temporary uniform for one game, it's not a huge deal.
Yeah, and Davis?
I think if you're going to do a retro jersey, you have to do something like this. Like you were saying with the last one, I think this also applies to like the new wave of making fake vintage stuff for like shirts and stuff, where it like looks vintage but it really isn't. Because it all has like the same cookie cutter kind of thing with the sports jerseys, and even some. I mean, NBA doesn't really count because they just kind of do like their actual throwback jerseys. But like with the football one, they all have the stripes. With vintage shirts, it's all kind of like the same. You maybe see a NASCAR on it with like y'all know what I mean.
Yeah.
It just really becomes really samey. Kind of loses all its flavor, all the things that made it cool in the first place. So I think if you're going to make something retro, do it like this because this looks awesome. I absolutely love this.
Awesome. So we're going to head to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be looking at even more uniforms up until Bay has to get out of here at 9 a.m. We're talking University of Washington 1991 throwbacks. We're talking Kansas 1920 throwbacks to get ready for homecoming. And we are talking Maryland's 1980s throwbacks. So get hyped for that. Don't go anywhere. All that and more on the other side of this break on Compact Discourse.
I'm Tiffany. I have some tips for you on how to quit smoking like I did. First, I did some reading about it. I found a lot of great advice on how to quit smoking and picked out the ways I thought would work best for me. I started by setting a quit date. Then I threw out my ashtrays, lighters, and matches. I did other things too, like exercising more. And it worked. But I'd still get cravings, especially on long car rides. To help me with that, I put a picture of my mother in my car. She died of lung cancer from smoking cigarettes when I was only 16. Now I have a 16-year-old daughter. That picture of my mother reminds me that I don't want to miss all the things my daughter is going to do in her life, including turning 17.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Getting support from friends online kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
Instead of smoking after I ate, I'd get up and take a walk.
I missed having a cigarette in my hand, so I'd hold a pen or a straw, anything.
Until I knew I wouldn't give in to temptation, I spent more time with my friends who didn't smoke.
I went to places that were smoke-free.
I didn't stay quit the very first time I tried.
I kept on trying, and I learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
I quit.
I quit.
I quit.
We did it, so can you.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
Good morning, Auburn, and welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. I'm your host, Jack Hart, joined alongside Davis Carroll and special guest Bay Marks, host of The Scoreboard, every Thursday at 2 p.m. right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. I believe WEGL's longest-running sports talk show at this point now.
Nationally nominated sports talk show and award-winning sports talk show, yes. I will claim that.
It's a running bit that I don't have bass mic turned on. It's an inside joke.
We'll do that every time I'm on.
So we are going to jump right back into uniform factor. It's not that we've got Bay Marks here. I know his time's very valuable, so we aren't going to waste any of it. We are jumping right back in. The next one we're going to talk about is, if the slideshow will progress, these 1991 throwbacks for the Washington Huskies, the year that they won the national championship back in the day. That's pretty, 30 years ago at this point? That's crazy.
When it's 2040 and Auburn does the 2010 throwbacks, they'll just be their normal uniforms.
Can't wait.
First glance at these, they're obviously throwbacks. You can tell due to the font. I think the font honestly looks great. I'm looking at these pictures right now on my phone, and I believe I'm trying to find the side view of the helmet. I believe, isn't the Husky on the side of the helmet?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's a great look. I love that.
These are allegedly a throwback to the 1991 season, but I found one from the 1991 season, and it's on the right there. They did not wear these.
They had to take some creative licenses.
They don't even look close. They added stripes on the shoulders. The pants have the panting Husky logo, as they call it. The open mouth Husky on top of that block W, and then they added that logo to the helmet as well. So, these are pretty cool. I think one of the greatest transformations in college football was when Washington went from Nike to Adidas in the past few years. Nike was doing some off the wall stuff up in Seattle with those uniforms.
No, Adidas has done some very good by the Washington Huskies. I remember playing when Auburn played them in the opening Chick-fil-A game in 2018, and they were obviously just their normal uniforms, but I think with their colors, they're just, again, another team that you can do a lot with, because not a lot of teams wear purple and gold. Yeah. LSU claims they're purple and gold, but it's really purple and yellow. Yeah. I think Adidas is doing right by them. These uniforms, again, the font looks great for a throwback. I guess you could call this a modernized throwback.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's probably the correct terminology for it. And then the little Husky on top of the W is just a chef's kiss.
Yeah, I think we call them a faux back in that they didn't actually wear them, but it kind of looks like they would have.
Yeah.
All right, so we are moving on. Not much to say about that one, and I don't even know when they're wearing them. So it's not their full-time jersey. They're probably wearing it for a game this season, but it has not been announced what that game is, unlike the rest of these in this slideshow. All right, next up, we have Maryland, who has unveiled a road version of the throwback jersey that they unveiled last year. They're going to wear these this Saturday against West Virginia in a nationally televised game. They are the road version, of course. They have a red helmet with the script Terps across both sides of the helmet. Also looks like it's on the visor of this model player, so that's pretty cool. Hope you can see through that. And then you have the pretty unique shoulder stripe being asymmetric, 3 different colors, black, yellow, and red of the Maryland Terrapins. And then one of the most interesting details is that you have the Throwback Under Armour logo as well.
Yeah. I noticed that when I was first looking at it. I was like, what brand is that? And I was like, that's definitely just Under Armour. No, but I'm a very big sucker for script names on the helmet, like the Florida Gators. And I believe there's a concept from Clint Richardson at Auburn Uniform Database. He did a concept where Auburn had script Auburn on their helmet. I mean,
I love that baseball script.
Yeah, baseball script's great. But these helmets, to start off with, like Jack said, the script on the sides, they look great. The red with the white and the black outline, it pops. It looks great, especially with those white unis. The uniforms themselves, I honestly really like these two. I believe the numbers have some sort of gradient in the middle. I can't really tell because these pictures are kind of small that I'm looking at on my phone.
They do. The 21, that is the model picture, and the number 5, that is also a model, has in the middle kind of that fade out look. Not quite a gradient, but
that's not something that Under Armour will typically do either.
No, and if you want to go to uniswag.com and look at these new uniforms, there's even more pictures of them. You can see that there's a lot of kind of that gel dry fit that gets that Under Armour likes to use.
Yeah.
On a lot of details. I believe that's Terps appears on the pants in that material, and also the gloves and collars have that as well. So I think the numbers are just an outgrowth of that.
Yeah. And again, Maryland, a school with several colors, and they all really go together, the yellow, red, and black. Honestly, normally I would like to see a little more of the yellow, but I think the little touch of yellow on the shoulders in these and the middle stripe, and a little bit of a yellow tint within the visor on the front, like Jack said, that says Terps on it, I think that's a perfect amount.
It looks like a coral snake.
Oh. Was it red before? Was it?
Red touching yellow hurts a fellow?
Yep.
Well, fortunately for West Virginia, red is not touching yellow, as far as I can tell.
Yes, it is. Well, I mean, it's not touching, but they're right beside each other.
Man.
I thought you were going for the colorblind moment.
We'll get there eventually, whether I want it or not. All right, so we're going to move on to the next jersey. Let's see if I can... Okay. All right, Vanderbilt from the SEC. They are also switching up their full-time uniform. No more chains, no more anchors, no more stars even. Vanderbilt has gone old school, and they have gone nice, clean, and crisp with this one, brought to you by Nike. And once again, well, I'd say the SEC logo is a good size.
Would it be wrong of me to say that it's about time Vanderbilt did something right with their football program?
I think that's completely on base.
I mean, these are very nice. Again, they did more with less, like Jack said. Took away the star, which, in my opinion, I said this in our group chat a few weeks ago, the star and the V is just a little too much. The block V itself could do
It takes up a lot of real estate, too.
Yeah.
In order to make the V a normal size, you need about 6 times that space to fit all the prongs of the star. As someone who dabbles in graphic design, the Vanderbilt logo is a little tricky to deal with.
Right. I mean, the block V itself, if they just left it alone like they did on the helmet right here.
No other school starts with V.
No.
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, that looks great. Obviously, another school with colors that could look really good. I'm surprised they didn't come out with a gold uni. That would have looked sick. And I don't know if this is necessarily a complaint. The black uniforms, it says Vanderbilt in gold, and it has gold stripes on the shoulders. Looks great with the white number. But then if you look at the white uniform, the only thing I would have changed was put Vanderbilt in black across the chest instead of in gold. It's a little tough to read in the gold on top of the white with no outlining, but that's my only complaint about these. I mean, they look great.
Let the record show you said no other school starts with V.
No other school that uses black and gold.
Vanderbilt.
I moved the.
Oh, you
I
moved the
goalpost.
goalpost. Okay.
Need help carrying the
I retract
goalpost.
my statement then.
All right, and I know we can't catch a break, matching the stripes because the helmet now matches the pants stripe, but the shoulder stripe and it matches neither of them.
Yeah.
So
that's and again, that's just another consistency issue. I feel like if it was a little more consistent with the striping, I mean, and again, the Vanderbilt across the chest, but overall, they did a great job with these unis. I don't think the black one necessarily needed an outline outside of the number, but the white one possibly did with the black. It looks a little bland without an outline, but I'm not going to be super picky because, again, I really like them.
All right. Well, it looks like we only have time for one more, and I think we're going to go to Arizona, who has also unveiled a new full-time uniform. So lots of teams completely switching up their look, and a lot of Nike teams as well. So it looks like Nike is continuing to wheel back the craziness that they rolled out in the past few years. Arizona is rocking a super classic look, throwback to the 80s and 90s when they probably had their most successful seasons. And this one is super cool. The word of the day for me is asymmetry. That's my favorite thing to see in a uniform, and we got it right here. So take it away, Bay.
One thing I will say is initially looking at these, and you could even argue this for the last uniforms we looked at it with Vanderbilt, the shoulders nearly give off somewhat of a Adidas, or like Jack says, an Adidas vibe. It's design-wise, it's very similar. I don't think I'm as big as a fan of these as a lot of other people are. If you have the blue one up, let me look. Yeah, you have the blue one up. Is it just me, or are the red and white stripes on top of each other on the blue uniforms on the shoulders, and then on the white ones, it's red, white, and then blue?
It's red, white, and blue on both, but because it's a blue jersey, you can't see the blue stripe.
See, and that's probably just being nitpicky. I would have rather had like a, I don't know.
I think the deal with these is that when you're playing in a league like the Pac-12, where zany uniforms are the whole thing, I think bringing a nice, crisp, clean one to the matchup, it provides some good contrast.
Right.
Like, I mean, if you're playing these against like some highlighter Oregon uniforms, you're going to be the ones that stand out, not Oregon.
Yeah, and again, I mean, at least they're being consistent with their striping. Again, on the helmet, it's a red, white, and blue pattern. They have that on the shoulder stripe. The number with the font is fine. I don't see anything across the chest. I know every now and then some teams, when they reveal new uniforms, they don't really put anything across the chest. But again, like I said, I'm not a super big fan of these. I do like how they kept the Arizona helmets. I've always liked their helmets, especially with the blue face mask, that sort of contrast. I don't know if that's because it reminds me of Auburn or not. Overall, though, like I said, not a huge fan of these. I think they could have done a little bit more.
Sure thing, yeah. And I just love that asymmetrical helmet stripe. If anything, that's my big takeaway for this one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for this first hour of Compact Discourse. We want to thank you so much for listening, but don't go anywhere because we still have another hour of the show. We are going to have to say goodbye to Bay Marks, though, as he has bigger and better things to do this morning, but you can listen to him today at 2 p.m. right here on WEGLFM.com and WEGL 91.1. The scoreboard is turning on at 2 p.m. to talk all things sports. We've also got Jacob Hillman, who I'm going to try to wrangle into the studio for the second hour, so don't go anywhere.
I'm Tiffany. I have some tips for you on how to quit smoking like I did. First, I did some reading about it. I found a lot of great advice on how to quit smoking and picked out the ways I thought would work best for me. I started by setting a quit date. Then I threw out my ashtrays, lighters, and matches. I did other things too, like exercising more, and it worked. But I'd still get cravings, especially on long car rides. To help me with that, I put a picture of my mother in my car. She died of lung cancer from smoking cigarettes when I was only 16. Now I have a 16-year-old daughter. That picture of my mother reminds me that I don't want to miss all the things my daughter is going to do in her life, including turning 17.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Getting support from friends online kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
Instead of smoking after I ate, I'd get up and take a walk.
I missed having a cigarette in my hand, so I'd hold a pen or a straw, anything.
Until I knew I wouldn't give in to temptation, I spent more time with my friends who didn't smoke.
I went to places that were smoke-free.
I didn't stay quit the very first time I tried.
I kept on trying, and I learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
I quit.
I quit.
I quit.
We did it, so can you.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
It's the top of the hour, about 9 a.m., and you're still listening to WEGL 91.1 FM. Well, you made it this far. Go get yourself a cup of coffee. You've earned it.
I really need a cup of joe, and if I don't get one, I think I might blow a gasket, and it's not a pretty sight.
We'll be right back in a few minutes with the second half of the show. Thank you so much for listening to Compact Discourse.
I'm Tiffany. I have some tips for you on how to quit smoking like I did. First, I did some reading about it. I found a lot of great advice on how to quit smoking and picked out the ways I thought would work best for me. I started by setting a quit date. Then I threw out my ashtrays, lighters, and matches. I did other things too, like exercising more, and it worked. But I'd still get cravings, especially on long car rides. To help me with that, I put a picture of my mother in my car. She died of lung cancer from smoking cigarettes when I was only 16. Now I have a 16-year-old daughter. That picture of my mother reminds me that I don't want to miss all the things my daughter is going to do in her life, including turning 17.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Getting support from friends online kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
Instead of smoking after I ate, I'd get up and take a walk.
I missed having a cigarette in my hand, so I'd hold a pen or a straw, anything.
Until I knew I wouldn't give in to temptation, I spent more time with my friends who didn't smoke.
I went to places that were smoke-free.
I didn't stay quit the very first time I tried.
I kept on trying, and I learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
I quit.
I quit.
I quit.
We did it, so can you.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
And welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM, WEGLFM.com, or however you may be listening to us today or watching, as we are once again live on the WEGL YouTube page. We also get a video on demand uploaded as well, and you can watch the replay on Eagle Eye TV. That is Channel 6 on campus, if you feel so inclined. You can also listen to our podcast 100% commercial-free for any of our episodes going back to last week and many, many months into the future. So just search for Compact Discourse on your podcast player of choice. I am your host, Jack Hart, joined alongside Davis Carroll and Jungle President Jacob Hillman. It is an honor once again to have you in the booth with us for another exciting episode of Compact Discourse. We had one half of the scoreboard, Bay Marks, in the first hour, and now we have the other half of the scoreboard, Mr. Jacob Hillman. That show is on Thursdays, which is today at 2 p.m., so keep that dial right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. Hillman, you making it through the week? How's your Thursday going?
Today, it really felt like game week. There's a nice chill in the air. Maybe not anymore because it's mid-morning by now, but when walking to my 8 a.m., it really felt like, okay, it's fall, it's game week, I'm ready for Auburn Akron on Saturday. So that was an exciting feeling when I walked out of my apartment this morning.
It is a intangible feeling. You can't buy it in a store.
And earlier in this week, I knew it was game week, but the hurricane and the rain and all of that made it not feel as good. So I'm ready for Saturday.
I am ready for Saturday as well. I want to remind you at this point, trivia question still pending. Of course, Akron is taking on Auburn Tigers on this Saturday evening in Jordan-Hare Stadium. Akron's mascot is, of course, a kangaroo, which is found on the Australian coat of arms. You can name any of the other 4 animals found on the Australian coat of arms. You win a brand new shiny shout-out on Compact Discourse. If you need some hints, I got them for you right here. 3 of them are birds. 1 of them is a flightless bird. 1 of the birds has a famous Russian ballet named after it. And the animal that isn't a bird, well, there's a lovely Disney movie about it based off the Shakespearean play Hamlet. So, those are your hints. Go crazy. Don't look it up. Let's have some fun.
I'll be honest, I have no idea. I have zero guess.
All right. Then the prize is still pending. Go ahead and
I will not be winning the prize.
Thank you to Ashley, who as JP texted me the wrong answer. Thank you to Ashley for sending in a response, although it was not correct, but she did throw in a bald eagle, which we love to hear that here at WEGL. That is our namesake, after all.
Right.
All right, Davis, I know you had a little sports news you wanted to bring up.
I have 2 things to bring up.
Okay, great.
The first one's not as important. We're going to move past it real quick. Paul Millsap signed with the Nets. Interesting.
Super team.
The second one that we mentioned earlier, an update on it about Joe Rogan catching COVID. He said that he took ivermectin, which is a horse dewormer, which is very toxic according to the FDA. So good for him. And let me read you a little excerpt from this article about it. It said about the FDA stating that the drug is dangerous and can cause serious harm. And the next line says, Rogan, who has in the past labeled himself as a blanking moron, just whose pronunciation should be viewed in that context. So, Joe Rogan took a horse dewormer to get over COVID. And I guess we'll see how that goes for him in the next coming months.
Yeah, if there's any... I mean, he doesn't have to worry about horse worms.
I guess.
That's a silver lining.
I just don't know what made him think, oh, yeah, I have COVID. I think a horse dewormer will be the best thing to take that out.
I would hope a doctor recommended it to him. I don't think many doctors would.
I don't think he did. I don't think he even went to the doctor.
Okay.
He said he went to sleep and he felt like chills and stuff, and the next day they quarantined and he threw the kitchen sink at it, in quotes.
You know what? I've had these horse deworming pills in my medicine cabinet for 4 years.
Where'd he get them? Did he go to a vet?
Today's the day.
I don't think he got over COVID. I think his body just forgot about COVID and is dealing with the horse deworming medicine.
That's honestly.
He didn't recover from COVID. He recovered from horse deworming pills.
If you can survive that, you can survive COVID.
All right. What's the next big UFC event, Hillman?
That will be UFC 266 on September 25th. It's a big one. Ortega faces, I forget who he faces, but it's kind of a stacked card. It's not as stacked as the November one, but yeah, Volkanovski versus Ortega for the featherweight title. But it's going to be a fun night. Also, Valentina Shevchenko and Lauren Murphy fight for the women's flyweight title. So it's a bunch of small people fighting, a bunch of lightweights. But then also,
it's a me and Hillman kind of fight.
Yes. This is the big one though. Welterweight bout between Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler. That's been in the making for probably a decade now. Their 3rd time fighting. They're really old, but they're fighting for 5 rounds, so everyone's excited for that.
All right. Well, I hope Joe Rogan's over his ailment by then, so we can get some hilarious ringside interviews.
Well, I don't know. He might have been. I feel like, does it say exactly when he had COVID? Because
it was this past week.
Okay.
Like he said Wednesday, which was yesterday, he said he felt great, and he got it Sunday or Monday, I think.
I was going to say, because he did not broadcast the 265 event in Houston. So I thought maybe they just delayed, hey, by the way, I had COVID, so I guess not. 265 wasn't that great, so that's just probably why he didn't do that event.
They're going to have to get the athlete to take the horse dewormer pills out of Joe Rogan like that athlete did to the dolphin.
You're going to have to take a horse dewormer pill to get your field passes on Saturday.
No! We're going to probably not. I don't know how many people would actually take that. Well, I take that back.
Iron Bowl?
What would you do for some tickets?
Iron Bowl? I might just take a horse dewormer.
I don't know if you survive that, to be honest.
You know how Joe Rogan's feeling after that horse dewormer?
I feel completely recharged.
There you go.
I mean, the soundboard speaks for itself.
See, I didn't have my headphones on, but now I need to do that.
All right. All right. So I know we discussed the depth chart earlier in the week. How do you think? Has there been any rumblings? I know a few of us have our finger on the pulse of the program. What are you most excited to see now that we're moving from practice to under the lights game time, ESPN Plus?
Well, yeah. Fortunately, the first 2 games are pretty easy for Auburn. You have the one of the bottom 2 or 3 programs in the country. Akron is horrible. And then you got Alabama State, an FCS program that could probably beat Akron, but they're also they don't have the talent level even close to compete with Auburn. So you've got 2 weeks where you're going to see a lot of guys. The depth chart, I don't think is as important this week as it will be when Auburn heads to Happy Valley in 2 to 3 weeks. So that's what I'm looking forward is what guys, so this week you're going to have the starters, but what guys that come in later in the third quarter or in the second quarter play a lot against Alabama State, because those are the guys that might have stepped up during practice this week or next week and played well against Akron to where they're going to make an impact against Penn State. So that's what I'm looking forward to, especially the playmakers, because the receivers are so inexperienced. But obviously, you've got the running game with Tank Bigsby. We know how that's going to go. But I think Bo Nix just needs a little bit of help. The candidates are Demetrius Robinson. You've got Javarius Johnson, that starting at receiver. And, of course, you've got the 3 guys that have been here, Kobe Hudson, Xavier Capers, and then Elijah Kanye, who did not appear on the depth chart. So we'll see who steps up in that area.
Do you think we could see a QB change if TJ
No.
Finley plays really good in his time?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Well, there you go.
All right, and a little more college football news. I know last night in Montgomery, the UAB Blazers took down the Jacksonville State Gamecocks in an in-state rivalry game, as UAB, once a dead program, is now sparkling on a Wednesday night showcase where they opened up the season with a 31-0 drubbing of the Gamecocks. Johnson III, their quarterback, went 17 of 21 for 320 yards and 2 tutties. Their running back, Brown Jr., went for 14 carries for 78 yards and 6 points. And then Shropshire, the receiving leader, he caught 5 passes for 128 yards and a touchdown as well. So congratulations to the UAB Blazers for opening up their season 1-0. I know we're all looking forward to October 2nd, UAB's home opener in that brand new stadium in downtown Birmingham.
And it's unfortunate that last night wasn't in Protective Stadium because, I mean, that was the biggest showcase for it because they were the only college football game last night. They were on ESPN. They were in the spotlight. And I'm sure every college football fan was watching it. And, you know, what I'll say is I don't think Jacksonville State's that bad, but I think UAB could be that good. So,
well, we shall see. I think Davis is going to have to get out of here. He's got to go make his speech for class, but I am hoping to be joined by Grayson Moyer on the other side of this break and Dylan Basden later in the show to give you a preview of Auburn Stages. You are listening to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages.
Smith. You may know me from my work as Scuba, one of the hosts of the hit award-winning show Nerdcore on WEGL 91.1 FM. But what you may not know about me is that I'm a website enthusiast. That's why I'm here to tell you about WeagleFM.com. It's our hotspot on the web with live broadcast articles and more. It's like a gift that keeps on giving. Tune into your favorite shows at any time with a 24/7 online stream right on the homepage. And don't forget to check out the schedule for our station's full selection of music, sports, and talk shows. For the sports fans, there's articles aplenty covering all of the current events in football, basketball, and beyond. For those music fans, Weagle FM has got you covered. We have album and concert reviews and theme playlists for any mood. We even have live musical performances with Weagle Sessions. There's more than enough content here to keep you procrastinated when you really should be studying for that test. That's right, we know you've been slacking off. Get back to it, lazy. So, no matter what sound you're looking for, we've got it only on WeagleFM.com. That's WEGLFM.com and Weagle 91.1 FM, Auburn.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzzed driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like Good evening, officer. A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You could kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says I'm a catch more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. I'm your host, Jack Hart, joined alongside station manager Grayson Moyer for this next segment as we get ready for Dylan Basden to come in and give that Auburn Stages preview that we have been hyping up throughout the day. We were excited for that one. We've got Jacob Hillman hanging out in the studio. He might be joining us for the end of the show as well, so don't go anywhere. Plenty of excitement. Once again, I want to remind everybody that we had a fabulous event last night in the Harold Melton Student Center upstairs by the Starbucks. There was an open mic night put on by Auburn UPC, The Circle, and WEGL, a fabulous event. It went amazing. And so if you don't want to miss out on future events like that, go ahead and follow at Auburn UPC, at Auburn Circle, and at WEGL_AU on Instagram to get updates about what is going on. I mean, there's plenty of free events throughout the year that you aren't going to want to miss. And also, the Auburn Circle is now accepting submissions. So if you would like to be part of Auburn's literary and arts magazine, if you have prose, if you have poetry, if you have fashion, if you have photography, if you have anything you would like to get published in the Auburn Circle, that is now available for submission. So once again, go to Auburn Circle on Instagram for more information about that. Submissions do close on September 19th, so don't delay. Get on top of that right now. Grayson, how are you doing this fine Thursday morning? I know Hillman said it's starting to feel a little bit like game day. It was a little cooler than normal. The dew, the freshly cut grass, it's starting to feel like autumn.
I'm actually really, really excited about game day. I'm not even going to the game. It's just the first one that I get to work at for the broadcast side, and I'm really pumped about that. I've been waiting on this for a while.
I know, and I feel like a lot of people are waiting with bated breath to have the first real game day in Jordan-Hare Stadium since the 2019 Iron Bowl. So it's going to be good to be back. It's going to be good to see a new coach, a new team, a new look, a new experience for Auburn Tigers fans. And then we have two freshman classes, effectively, who have never really experienced a Jordan-Hare Stadium game day. So I'm super excited. Something I kind of bumped on earlier in the week is that I had a hard time with the fact that we didn't have our first game day until September 20th of last year.
So is that like, forgive me for this, I only had experience as like a freshman doing this, but normally we have like an away game in a, equivalent of like a bowl somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are we still not doing that just because of COVID, or?
Well, those are happening. There's some marquee matchups going on earlier in the season, but our big game early in the season is against Penn State.
Okay.
So that's in 3 weeks that we're traveling up to Pennsylvania to take on Penn State. But there are plenty of exciting games that are bowl-like starting the season. Georgia and Clemson are playing in Charlotte. Alabama and Miami are playing in Atlanta, and Notre Dame and Wisconsin are, I believe, playing in Chicago. But regardless of where they're playing, there are some pretty exciting matchups to kick off the season. It's just not Auburn's year, I guess.
Yeah.
You can't play them every year.
But also, y'all may have already discussed this before I was on here, but is Harsin like out of quarantine? Is he gonna be at the game on Saturday?
Well, I mean, it would stand to reason considering.
I don't know how long it's been. I haven't kept up with it.
Right. I think, you probably have a 4-day delay between it happening and it becoming public.
Sure.
So I think a sufficient amount of time has passed, but if not, I know he's been running the team remotely, seems effectively from what I don't exactly have my finger on the pulse of the football program, but from what I can glean from the beat reporters, it appears to be a fairly smooth transition from remote. So we are excited for Auburn football this Saturday, and once again, I want to remind everybody of our trivia question before I have to spill the answer at the end of the show, because I'm not carrying this question to another week. because we won't be playing a kangaroo team next week. So, of course, Auburn University is taking on the Akron University Zips from Akron, Ohio, whose mascot is a kangaroo. Now, if you don't know this, Akron had a naming contest back in the day, I believe in the 40s, to select a nickname for their team, and Zips was a popular kind of shoe. So I guess it invoked speed, athleticism, zippers. I'm not really sure. But Kangaroos was one of the losers of the contest, not selected by the athletic director. So later, when it was time to pick a kind of man-in-a-suit costume, because it's hard to have a big shoe on the sideline, Akron ended up going with a kangaroo to be the only FBS school to have a kangaroo as their mascot. And it is also one of the few mascots to be a female in the NCAA. So, pretty exciting stuff. Hopefully, we will see her on the sidelines this Saturday as Akron comes to town. But the trivia question, of course, is that the kangaroo is an icon of Australia, the land down under, where it is native, and as such, it appears on the coat of arms of Australia. But there are 4 other animals that also appear on the coat of arms of Australia. So if you can name any of those 4 animals, including 3 birds, one of them being flightless, you will win a shout-out on Compact Discourse. So please, keep those answers coming. If not, I'm going to have to read JP's wrong answer live on the air. So, any thoughts on kangaroos as we continue this discussion, Grayson?
I think choosing the kangaroo as the man on the field mascot was a coward's choice. I think that was a mistake, not going with the giant shoe. Like, if you're going to do it, you should commit. You should have a gigantic shoe on the sideline. Like, why would you pick, and a loser at that? Like, it's a cool mascot, I agree, and it's got some cool attributes that are uncommon. But, like, think if they had a shoe. Think about the possibilities.
There could be some old lady who lived in the shoe jokes. There could be some 2 left feet jokes.
Think about the brand deals.
Unbelievable. Yeah, you could have some Zion blowing up a shoe jokes. Like, you can't, I mean, obviously there's some material with a kangaroo, boxing, jumping. Those are all tired bits.
What's the school that doesn't have an official mascot, so they have, like, Keggy? Do you know?
Good grief.
Are you sure what I'm talking about? Have you heard of this?
I've probably seen that on, like, a mental floss fact of the day calendar.
Let me find it.
Why don't, yeah. So let's, I mean, we could talk about.
Okay, it's Dartmouth.
Dartmouth.
They have Keggy the Keg. That's their own official, like,
because
mascot.
Dartmouth, yeah, their mascot is the mean green. So
okay,
you can't just have the color green suiting up for the game.
Again, a coward's choice.
Dartmouth has those awesome robot tackle sleds. Have you seen these?
No, not at all.
They're a smart school with a football team. So what they have is basically a Roomba with a pylon on top of it that avoids tackles on the football field.
Okay, like, so it can detect where the players are. Like it's actively avoiding them.
It bobs and weaves in a manner to fool the tackler.
Okay, cool.
So maybe that could be their mascot.
I think we should just have those in more places. We should deploy those on the concourse.
I think that would help with traffic flow tremendously.
You cut down on people riding bikes dramatically.
Well, okay.
Not that I dislike people riding bikes, but on the concourse, all right?
People might look up from their phones if there was the potential to run into a AI tackle sled.
Exactly. We could have them cross the street on Magnolia every so often, keep drivers on their toes. Like, I think these would improve the city of Auburn significantly.
I think it could be a worthwhile investment.
Yeah.
So, continuing our discussion about mascots, do you find it weird when the mascot, quote unquote, is a person, and so there's like a weird head that a person has to put on, like Vanderbilt or Purdue, for instance? If you want to look up like Purdue Pete, I mean, if you're a light sleeper, I wouldn't look it up, but I think Purdue Pete. The fact that his head isn't cloth, but kind of like a hard-looking plasticky ceramic, definitely contributes to the scariness.
If it was still like the 1920s, I could understand why you'd do that. Because, if you're standing up in the upper decks, you're not going to be able to discern a person on the field.
Mm-hmm.
But in the age of the video board, you can just have a normal person in the costume. Like, it is unsettling.
Yeah, that's one of the few things Notre Dame has kind of figured out, is having just a guy dress up as a leprechaun.
Yeah.
Because I think a leprechaun suit would be a little scary and morbid.
Or even like the whole thing with it's too realistic. Like with animals, right? Like Obby. He doesn't look like a realistic tiger. He's a cartoon. That's the whole appeal. And he acts like a cartoon tiger. But when you have a person, it's just like it's a little too close, and it's just that's where it's uncomfortable when it's not just a dude, standing on the sideline.
Yeah, you have the Pixar problem where it looks
Exactly.
a little too real.
Exactly.
Another interesting hybrid animal combination is with Willy the Wildcat at Kansas State, who wears a mascot head, but apparently they ran out of fabric because he just has person arms.
Oh no! I'm looking at pictures of this on Google Images right now.
It's a bit problematic.
That's a mistake.
It raises some questions that I don't want to think about on a college football Saturday.
The head is also huge compared to the rest of the. Like they could have scaled down the head a little bit and made it better, but wow, that's the worst.
I think that might be the worst one.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'll take human with giant felt human head over that any day.
So yeah, when it comes to, Obby's always in the conversation for best mascot, but I think the knockout bracket comes down to Willy the Wildcat and the scary Clemson Tiger for worst mascot, which
Sure.
I'm sure that's a debate we can hash out throughout the remainder of the college football season. But we're going to head to a quick PSA break, and when we come back, I believe we will have Dylan Basden to bring you all the information about Auburn Stages, which is going to be tonight at 5 p.m. So you're not going to want to miss that. We might just have Jacob Hillman coming back to discuss a little sports. So you're listening to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages.
As a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
El que Sanyud no cobra ni un centavo para nosotros significa quitarnos todo ese estrés, esa preocupación y podernos enfocar en nuestra hija.
That was the first thing I was like, how are we going to do this? When St. Jude told us that we didn't have to pay a single bill, I was like, wow. They pretty much have saved us.
It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders, and now your focus is supporting this child.
There is not another hospital like St. Jude. The patient care is unmatchable. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. I help people solve difficult and trying personal problems every day on my TV show, but there's one problem that's just got me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. That's 1 in 5 kids who may not know where their next meal is coming from, despite the fact that there's more than enough healthy, nutritious food out there to feed them all. Now, I don't know about you, but that is unacceptable to me. Luckily, the Feeding America network of good people is out there collecting surplus food and giving hope to hungry children and their families at local food banks all across the country. But let's face it, they can't do it without your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Well, good morning, Auburn, and welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM, WEGLFM.com, or watching live on YouTube. That's WEGL 91.1 on YouTube. You might also be watching our video on demand, available on the YouTube page, watching the replay on Eagle Eye TV, or listening to our podcast absolutely PSA break free wherever you get your podcast. My player of choice is Spotify. Just search for Compact Discourse. All right, we are jumping right back into things here on Compact Discourse. I have a special guest, Mr. Dylan, who is our live events coordinator here at WEGL. I'm still joined by Grayson Moyer. And, of course, I'm your host, Jack Hart, coming at you live on this fine Thursday morning. It is the second day of September, and it is the finale for week 2 of Compact Discourse. So we'll be back Monday at 8 a.m., but we still have about a half hour of a show to bring you this fine morning. So the reason I've got Dylan on the show today is because we had a great event last night with the Circle and UPC, an open mic night. Plenty of those coming in the future, so follow at Auburn UPC, at Auburn Circle, and WEGL_AU on Instagram if you don't want to miss another open mic night. We had a ton of fun last night, but we also have Auburn Stages coming up this evening and every Thursday for the rest of the semester. So follow WEGL_AU on Instagram if you don't want to miss a single Auburn Stages event. All right, Dylan, I'm really happy to have you on the show. I'm trying to get every staff member on the show, so punch that one. Well, I think Luke's going to be the hardest one to wrangle, but I'm glad that you've fallen into my trap already. Thank you for coming on the show today. And how are you feeling this Thursday morning?
You know, a little bit tired. Had to wake up like 2 hours early for this, so I appreciate that, but not a huge appreciation.
All right, fair enough. Life has trade-offs.
It does. But I'm excited to be here. This is only my second time on air, even though it's my third year in WEGL, so kind of exciting.
Is this your video live stream debut as well?
I tried recording the last one, but
okay.
I failed miserably at it.
Fair enough. All right, so how did you think the event went last night upstairs in the Student Center, the open mic night with UPC?
It was a little bit chaotic. We had to pull out the backup mixer. It wasn't in our second league mixer because we had a few technical difficulties. But besides that, it went really solid.
Yeah.
Had some really great performers. I think we all agreed that Z was really killer. She killed it. Some hip hop and poetry.
It was really awesome. Something I was not expecting, but something I will not forget as well. So I know Isaiah did a great job as well. He did his first ever performance in front of a live audience, and he played a John Mayer song. So you know what? That won my heart instantly. So super fun. Don't miss any more of these open mic nights. I know, Grayson, did you do one over at Well Read?
Yeah, we had one that was just our smaller setup over at the coffee shop with just the Circle without UPC, and I ran audio for that because we were running a Stages at the same time. Am I allowed to call myself a Stages alumni at this point? Like, I was on it back when there was no 2 backup mixers, when it was just the single one, but I don't really work on them at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you've kind of
that's all
moved
you and
on,
Luke.
Which is kind of it's a little bit sad to think about.
Hey, I'm available, but I trust y'all. I know you're going to do a good job. That's the whole point.
All right, well, that is a perfect segue into Auburn Stages. So, Dylan, if you could go ahead and provide our audience with what exactly Auburn Stages is for those of us who don't know, and then what to get excited about tonight on the Cater Lawn at 5 p.m.
Yeah, so Auburn Stages is this really cool project. So I was originally an architecture student for like a month and a half. While I was there, I met Professor Garmaz, who is the head of the environmental design program. And they had crafted these stages. They were built by students, designed by students. But they'd only done a couple performances over like 2 years. But I came in with some previous help from our previous live event instructor, had kind of started getting things rolling.
Mm-hmm.
I had a similar idea. A couple of our WEGL members had similar ideas. So we kind of pushed it all together and got Auburn Stages kicked off. So it's a project that helps promote live music on campus, obviously, but also the effects of live music on people and how it improves mental health. It's their whole class this semester is actually just doing research on it and helping design and keep this project going forward. So this Thursday we have Sage. She is an Auburn local. Just beautiful voice, very delicate guitar. It's going to be a really good show. I'm excited because last time I saw her, she was just going off of an amp, so you could barely hear her.
Mm-hmm.
This week, we have our huge PA. It's super loud. You're going to actually be able to hear her. It's going to be great. Just great voice, great guitar playing.
So that's on the Cater Lawn tonight?
Yeah, Cater Lawn. The event starts at 5. Music should start at 6.
Okay. And so usually, I mean, these have been in the dining halls in the past. Is that more of like a wintertime rainy situation? Do you like to have them outside or inside more?
Well, it started off in the dining hall because they reached out to us and wanted to get it going.
Mhm.
And it happened to start in the winter, so we kept it there.
Okay.
But last March, whenever it started warming back up, we brought it outside onto the green space and cater lawn, and we're kind of moving it around this semester. So last week was on the upper quad. This week and next is on cater. Week after that is green space. We have a couple that are going to be in front of the Auburn Arena on that little green space.
Awesome.
Whenever it cools down, we're going to go into Dudley B6 and also the Edge Dining Hall.
Okay.
The dining halls are great, don't get me wrong. It's great, especially because we already have a lot of students there who can get exposed to it. But they do present us a few logistical problems just by being inside, by being in the middle of an active space trying to set up and run these. So
yeah, and acoustically, they're not the best.
Yeah, but, it's a big empty room. It's difficult to get speakers to work well in there. But we still have that option. We still like to be able to go inside if we really have to.
Yeah, and they give us a lot of flexibility, too, since they're not, like, university run. They're run by Airmark.
Okay.
And so they let us come in. They let us be a rain venue a couple of times last year, which you can't really get rain venues last minute through the university.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
This semester we have rain venues booked for every event. Dudley B6 is our backup. So every show, rain or shine, it's happening. And it's great because we have locals, we have students, we even have bands from like Birmingham coming down.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm endlessly impressed by your connections with all of these artists. It seems like you know all of them personally, and to fill out a schedule of Auburn Stages from the get-go. I mean, it's August, and we already have shows planned throughout the entire semester. How did you build this network with all these local and even far-out musicians?
Yeah, so it started off, this semester was especially difficult because we had Tiger Fest 2 weeks ago, and I was trying not to double book out of that because I didn't want to just repeat the same artist. So first off, reached out to artists who weren't performing on it that I already knew, who might have already played in the past, or who wanted to play and just never got to. And after that ran dry, I kind of just posted it on my photography page, and that's where a bunch of the Birmingham bands who were interested were like, hey, we want to come play. They just wanted to get down in Auburn and play.
Right. So is it through the photography you've been able to make a lot of connections? I know. Did you work at Avondale over the summer?
Yes, I worked for a production company called Big Friendly Productions.
Okay.
But I don't think any of these actually came from that. But yeah, I did meet a lot of people in the Birmingham music scene and elsewhere that will hopefully help in future booking, which I plan on starting within the next 2 weeks, hopefully.
To get spring semester starting?
Yep.
Awesome. So yeah, look forward to that on the WEGL Instagram page, WEGL_AU. You can get all the information you need about this Auburn Stages that's coming up tonight on the Cater Lawn starting at 5 p.m. So, I mean, if you enjoyed those neon lights and the vibes in the coffee shop last night in the Student Center, be sure to make your way over to the Cater Lawn tonight to get a similar, if not even better experience that excuse me, that Dylan is putting together. So Dylan, I had JP and Will on yesterday to discuss a little bit of music on a WEGL Wednesday, as we like to call it, because we have a fabulous lineup of shows on Wednesday evenings. And then I had Davis and Bay do the same thing this morning. So I'd love to just ask, just put my finger on the pulse of what you're listening to, what you have been just enjoying these past few weeks on like what's your heavy rotation on Spotify? Is there anything new that's come out that you've been listening to, or is there a local act that you've been trying to promote?
Yeah. So first off, hate to break it to you, I'm an Apple Music user.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I like the light mode. Okay. I wish Spotify would add one.
Yeah. But huge album that just came out. I really think they're about to blow up. Super great people is Hotel Fiction. The only downside, they're UGA grads.
Oh my goodness.
But their album Soft
And we
Focus,
let them play on WEGL?
Yeah, we did. Their WEGL session just came out yesterday.
I'll see what I can do about that.
Yeah.
Hotel Fiction has signed Derek, is that right?
Yes, they were the first people to sign.
All right, Derek, if you don't know, is our pet flamingo here in the WEGL studio. He might just make an appearance on Compact Discourse next week, but it is, of course, tradition that if you come in and record a WEGL session, you get your John Hancock on Derek the Flamingo.
I will say brand new tradition.
Yeah, there's one signature.
Yeah, it's just Hotel Fiction right now.
For those of you who have done a WEGL session, we didn't forget you. We just didn't think of it yet.
Yes, exactly. And also, thank you. Jake Houston, I know you're not listening to this, but thank you for asking the people at the dining hall if we could take home Derek after an event, because I wouldn't have done that.
He wouldn't have asked. He would have just taken it.
Well, no. Okay, sure. Oh, gosh.
But yeah, Hotel Fiction is great. Frequent collaborator with WEGL. He's actually helping us set up tonight. Jackson Chambers, a.k.a. the official bard of Baldwin County. If you like folk punk music, super great. He's an Auburn student, so like.
And if you don't know what folk punk is, like, check it out, because I guarantee you'll like it.
Yeah, it's like punk music, but with like acoustic guitar and like fiddles and banjos and stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of watching Jackson perform at Tiger Fest, and it was just an electric performance. I mean, shout out to he got up. It was 95 degrees, and he got up there and absolutely killed it with some dance moves while he was playing. It was quite the performance. I mean, the music's one thing, but the stage banter, the stage presence is absolutely unmissable. So if you ever get the chance to see the official bard of Baldwin County live, I would not second guess checking that out.
Yeah, and that was like his little Welcome Week shindig tour, because he played like 3 times on campus within like 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty impressive. But then another album that just came out is Obby the Nomad. It's hip-hop, really good stuff. Most of it we can't play on air here, sadly. It's got the big explicit logo, but it's really good music if you like kind of left of center hip-hop, but it's a little bit poppy too.
Okay. Good to hear. All right. Well, I think that's going to just about do it for our penultimate segment here on Compact Discourse, but I want to extend my most sincere appreciation to Dylan for coming on the show today, making an appearance, and I hope this can be a recurring appearance for you, Dylan. I'd love to get your take on what's new, what's hot in the live music sphere, and who's coming up on Auburn Stages, because it's every week. It's a full schedule.
Yeah, I mean 9:30 every Thursday. I can be here if you want me to.
Just pencil that in on your calendars, guys, because Dylan is ready to bring you everything you need to know about Auburn Stages tonight. Once again, one more time, that is 5 p.m. on the Cater lawn. You aren't going to want to miss it. And then the rain venue is where?
Dudley B6, but we're looking like clear skies tonight.
All right, knock on wood. So we're going to head to a quick break, and when we come back, I think I'm going to wrestle Jacob Hillman back in the studio to bring you a little bit of college football preview, because the hours are ticking down. We have a big day of college football on September 4th. That's this Saturday, including Auburn versus Akron.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I improved my credit score.
You're kidding, right?
No.
How are we supposed to be the bad boys of electro synth pop if you're out there being responsible? The band is about to be discovered. This is our year.
Yeah, you've been saying that for a while now.
You think anyone in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was worried about their credit score?
I never really thought that.
Of course they weren't. Rock stars aren't supposed to think about that kind of stuff. We're supposed to think about how many guitars we've smashed, write aggressively sensitive power ballads, start questionable fashion trends, tragically break up and blame creative differences.
All right. I thought maybe it was time to take control of my finances, Start using a budget, get out of debt, set some goals.
A budget? Debt? Set some goals? Listen, I knew that we'd have our creative differences, but I was hoping they'd involve a little more scandal.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cold time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
And good morning to all of our listeners and viewers in Auburn, Alabama, and around the world here on WEGL FM 91.1, WeagleFM.com, the YouTube live stream, however you're joining us today, or if you're listening to our podcast commercial free, wherever you get your podcasts. We sincerely appreciate you listening to the show. For this final segment of the week, we're going to talk a little college football as we are just ticking down the hours until kickoff on Saturday. We are super excited about Auburn and Akron taking the field on Saturday night, and we are going to preview all the exciting college football action. I've got Jacob Hillman, somehow managed to get him back into the studio, so welcome in to him. He is back once again to discuss some college football, and Grayson, I couldn't kick out because he's my superior.
You can kick me out. That's allowed.
All right. So before we talk about college football, I do want to remind everybody this is the final chance for you to answer our trivia question of the week before I reveal JP's embarrassing answer, and that is that the Australian coat of arms does include 5 animals, one of them being a kangaroo, the mascot of the Akron Zips, who are coming to town. If there's any Akron Zips fans listening, go ahead and tweet at us at CDiscAU. I want to hear you guys weigh in on this one. The 4 other animals on the Australian coat of arms, 3 of them are birds, one of them is flightless, one of them has a Russian ballet named after it, and the animal that isn't a bird has a Disney movie about it that is based on the Shakespearean film of Hamlet. All right, so those are your only clues. I'm done. And we will see if anybody can weigh in on that in the final segment. But Hillman, thank you for joining me on the show. What are you most excited about this college football Saturday? I know it's easy to say Auburn Akron, but let's not ignore the literal elephant in the room.
Am I really mostly excited for that?
Yeah, and there's some big games going on this weekend, including but not limited to Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Georgia, Clemson, and Bama, Miami.
Yeah, and I think that this is one of the more anticipated opening weeks of college football simply because fans are back. A lot of stadiums will be packed to the brim, like Auburn. Jordan-Hare Stadium will be packed, and we're going to see that throughout the country. And that's, this is not the same weekend as a few years ago when it was the ultimate college football weekend or whatever. I think Alabama played Florida State. It was a horrible game. Auburn played Clemson.
Horrible game.
But it's just the fact that fans are in the stadiums, the atmospheres will be back, and yeah, you've got the Clemson Georgia game. That should be a good one. But the other matchups will be pretty good. It'll be fun. Alabama, Miami will probably not be fun, but you'll see some fun matchups. Ohio State, Minnesota tonight. That'll be interesting.
Okay.
UCF, Boise State tonight. Those are some familiar faces. Brian Harsin came from Boise State. Gus Malzahn went to UCF. So it's a weird dynamic there that a lot of Auburn fans will probably want to watch.
Do we know what annoying Imagine Dragons song ESPN is using this year?
It's not Imagine Dragons. I do know it. Hold on. It's
all right. I mean, last year it was Juice WRLD, which was respectable.
Yes, it's a DJ Snake song for Shang-Chi, the movie with, hold on, I got you. Run It with featuring Rick Ross and Rich Brian.
Okay. All right, jury's out. I'll wait to pass judgment until after this weekend.
The video is pretty cool. It's a good hype video, but I think the song is going to get a little too annoying.
We'll see. Okay. And Ben Brood accepting submissions
on his Instagram at Ben Brood. That is Ben Ben Brood BRUUD. So he's looking to see what the fans in the stadium want to hear because he's the one spinning the disc. So we'll see what he plays on Saturday night.
Hopefully, Imagine Dragons.
Hopefully not.
All right. So I think the Georgia Clemson game is probably the game of the week.
For sure. Game day's there. It's literally the most impactful regular season game on the college football playoff ever. So
okay. Is there like metrics behind that?
There is a metric behind that, yes. I stated that because ESPN said it. So right, I'm surprised the Alabama-LSU game from 2 years ago wasn't higher, but I don't know.
Well, that's because Bama could lose and still get in.
That is true. Good point. So it'll be interesting to see how the two new Georgia doesn't have a new quarterback, but it's his first full season as quarterback, JT Daniels, and then DJ Uiagalelei starts off at Clemson.
Fansville superstar. Oh gosh, DJ Uiagalelei.
I wonder how his performance is going to be in those commercials.
It's not off to a good start.
I don't think any Fansville commercial's ever been good. So
good take.
I guess it could possibly. It can't get worse, but I don't know if he's going to improve it.
Yeah. Hashtag bring back Larry. So we're looking forward to an exciting college football Saturday. Are there any kind of under the radar games that are getting swallowed up by the Georgia Clemsons of the
I'm
world?
just going to go ahead and say that Louisiana, formerly Louisiana Lafayette, but they'll get mad if you call them that, is going to beat Texas. They're going to beat Texas on Saturday because they are returning 90% of their starters from last year from a solid squad. I mean, that team, I forget who they beat. Was it Kansas State in the first week? Not that Kansas State is any good.
That was the week that a bunch of Big 12 teams lost.
Correct. And I don't know. I just love.
And their scary mascot, Willy the Wildcat.
Oh, yes. But yeah, I mean, they return pretty much everyone from a very good team. And Billy Napier, I mean, I wanted Auburn to go after him.
Yes,
They got Brian Harsin. I'm happy with that decision. But Billy Napier is a great coach.
All right.
So,
calling your shot. Horns down on Saturday?
Correct.
Okay.
Louisiana beats them. They're like an 8-point underdog, and that's too much. But I think they win them straight up.
Noted. All right. So the white tents are up on campus. What are you excited about for game day on campus? I know. Are both of you guys like working on game day?
Yes.
Yes.
Hate that for you.
I mean, it's still a fun time because I'll be set up where the Tiger Tailgate show is with the Auburn Sports Network, so I'll be able to see everything and just kind of take it all in, and I'll be interacting with some people. So
awesome. And I get to hang out in my 8x10 air
conditioned
room and watch it on TV, which I'm not against any means. I am very happy to be in that position.
You probably get a lot of different angles of the game.
Yeah,
that people don't get.
You get the floss cam.
Oh yeah.
You get the close up of the rat getting eaten. Everything you don't get sitting in the stadium.
Exactly.
I'm looking forward to the atmosphere, though.
Okay.
It's going to be weird because we talked about a few weeks ago how it's so much different from last year with all the students on campus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just wait till Auburn becomes the third biggest city in the state on Saturday. It's going to be packed. And, I mean, don't try to drive anywhere because a 5-minute drive turns into a 30-minute drive on
Just,
game day.
Get your snowshoes and hunker down,
Have
especially if you live on a major thoroughfare like I do.
Oh no, yeah. Have they already started the additional section for students? I don't know if they've. I know they have disclosed this publicly, but they were talking about adding sort of an upper deck.
Oh, the two sections in the upper deck?
Yeah.
Yes, and I believe that's the smartest thing to do because every single year they give out way too many guest passes for the first non-conference game that's against Akron or Alabama State.
Yeah.
So get in your seats early on Saturday. Otherwise, you're going to be
gonna need an oxygen tank.
Standing in the concourse. You're not going to actually have a seat. It's going to be tough. Obviously, Auburn fans, students stand the whole time anyway, but you still want to have a designated seat so you can sit at halftime and stuff.
Yeah. And let's make sure that line to get into the stadium moves as quickly as possible. You don't
your Tiger card downloaded.
Yeah, you don't need your green screen, your passport anymore. But you will need your Tiger card provisioned, is what they're going to call it, from the university. All that means is that it is in your Apple or Google wallet on your phone. So don't get up there and start pulling out your Tiger card because
have it with you though, because I have a feeling that if your phone doesn't work, that is the backup plan.
Well, it is. That
Okay,
absolutely is.
So
the other important thing with this, don't just have it like on your phone. Have it open on the screen, pulled up on your wallet. You need to be able to see your picture from your Tiger card on the screen. They stressed that very much to us in the meeting that we had about Tiger cards. I believe they were also saying, I don't know about Androids. I have an Android. These are always different. But for iPhones, it's like the earpiece down on the scanner.
Yeah, I thought they said like camera down.
Yeah, camera down, back of the phone. But it's just at the top. A lot of Androids, the actual like NFC thing is down at the bottom by the charging port, so that might be different. But
tap it like that, yeah.
Sorta.
All right, and then another reminder is that when Auburn does get the victory on Saturday afternoon, we do want to remind you that the trees at Toomer's Corner are still recovering, so just roll the big trees. It's as simple as that. Small ones, don't roll. There's some signage to help you out, but that the big tree in front of Biggins Hall and the trees going down College Street are free to get some white stuff thrown at them this on Saturday afternoon, but the trees that are still recovering, we are being asked by Mr. Hedgepath himself not to roll those until they are fully recovered. So hold off for another year until those trees can firmly put their roots in the ground. And then we'll close with one more question. Is that what Auburn tradition are you most excited to see return to the okay?
Eagle.
Yeah,
Eagle?
absolutely.
Not even a hesitation, because it's so ridiculous they couldn't do it last year. I get it that they didn't want any non-required personnel on the field to protect the athletes and the coaches, but holy cow, it was one person I'd be standing literally at the center of the field and walk out of the stadium. So
Have we tried a drone before? Has that happened? A drone?
Like
a drone eagle?
An RC eagle?
Yeah.
I mean, they did the.
I hope not.
They did the video of the eagle flights last year, obviously. Like in the stadium, they played a video. So for the Texas A&M game, they did it from one of the Texas A&M games in recent years. And I think who were the other big opponents last year? Tennessee. They did it from a Tennessee game from a while back. So I'm just excited to see that in real life back.
No, I totally agree with you. That's one of the biggest like goosebumps live in the stadium moments where I don't know. It's just it's a different atmosphere than I've ever seen at a college game day.
For sure.
It's different.
I'm very excited for the marching band to be back on the field.
Yeah.
Okay. I read somewhere where they're not actually like coming out of the tunnel to avoid the congregating in a team area.
Are they still going to throw the spike in the ground?
Yes, but the issue is it's not like they're in the tunnel like high stepping or whatever.
Eating the hot dogs.
And then they run out. I think they're actually starting on the field, and then they just do the routine. Yeah. Which
fair enough. You know what?
I've definitely heard them practicing pregame. Like they may or may not be in the tunnel. I don't know. But I was here the day that they did the dreaded stadium practice where they take a day out of band camp and just go like all just die in the stadium and do march around 5 times.
Oh my gosh.
March around is honestly that's the hard part. It takes forever when you're in it.
Especially in September when it's almost 90 degrees.
Oh,
Fortunately, it won't be that hot on Saturday. It'll be around mid-80s, which is still
okay.
Stay hydrated, but hopefully
we're white.
Hopefully we're good. Yeah, that too.
All right. Well, that is going to just about do it for today. We'll be back on Monday morning at 8 a.m. Hillman, Grayson.
What about the trivia question?
Oh, my goodness.
JP's answer.
The trivia question. All right. So the trivia question was, of course, as I check one more time. All right. No more answers. The trivia question was Auburn's taking on Akron this Saturday. Kangaroo. Kangaroo is on the Australian coat of arms. It is on the left side of the coat of arms, and emu is on the right side of the coat of arms. That is your flightless bird. There's also some symbols representing the 5 states of Australia, including a piping shrike, which is a fictional bird based on a magpie. I didn't expect anyone to get that one. But there's also a black swan, on which Swan Lake, the Russian ballet, is based. And there's also a lion, a British lion, which the clue to that one was, of course, the Lion King. So that is the Australian coat of arms with a kangaroo, the Australian national symbol, who is also the mascot of Akron. And JP thought it was an ostrich. So,
I could see
wrong.
That. I could see that.
I mean,
not an ostrich. They live in Africa.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think there's. Yeah.
All right. So thank you to everyone who participated in trivia this week. Hopefully someone will get it right next week, as we have maybe Hornet trivia. Oh, we'll probably have Alabama State trivia, if I'm being honest with you. All right. Hillman, Grayson, any final words?
No.
Thank you, Jack.
Absolutely, Mr. President. All right. So thank you once again for listening to another exciting week of Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. However you joined us today, whether that be from your radio antenna, WeGLFM.com, or listening to our podcast, we would like to remind you that all the previous episodes are available as a podcast wherever you can get your podcast. JP's texting me again. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at CDiscAU for links to the podcast, information about the show, updates, and you can tweet at us at CDiscAU to answer the trivia questions or just get your opinion on the show. You're listening to Auburn's only student-run morning show. You might want to go ahead and follow WEGL's Twitter at WEGL_AU. Our dedicated team of marketing professionals is working tirelessly to provide you high-quality content Monday through Friday. As for Jack Hart, Dylan Basden, Davis Carroll, Bay Marks, Grayson Moyer, and Jacob Hillman, this has been another exciting episode of Compact Discourse. We wish you a great weekend, War Eagle, and we will talk at you Monday morning to discuss Auburn football against Akron. This is Jack Hart signing off another week of Compact Discourse. Thank you so much for listening.
I'm trying to see a colorful bird.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole, or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day